everyone. We are here at the Wayne County Public Library Children's Department, and we're curious about who is going to win a gold medal. And we're not talking about the Olympics. We are in fact talking about the American Library Association's Youth Media Awards, the Newbery, the Caldecott, and the Prince. So stay tuned, we're going to tell you some potential candidates for the winners of these awards.
Alright, so my name is Naomi and I'll be talking about some of the contenders for the Caldecott Medal this year. The Caldecott Medal is awarded each year to the most distinguished American picture book for children, and it tends to focus on the illustrations. One of my favorite picture books from this year is Dan Santat's After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. This book is about if Humpty Dumpty fell and all of the king's men were able to put him back together again, but now he is afraid of heights, which used to be his favorite thing. His anxiety is on full display on one of my favorite spreads in the book, where he goes shopping for cereal. He can only reach the boxes on the bottom, and those boxes have names like leaves and cardboard, while up top there are boxes called Free Toy and Just Marshmallow. So even though Dan Santat has already won a Caldecott, in 2015, I'm hoping After the Fall does really well this year. Because it's a story about learning how to rebound after something awful has happened to you, and the artwork is just lovely. Another possible contender is All the Way to Havana by Margarita Engel, and it's illustrated by Mike Curato. This book is set in modern-day Cuba, and the cars, nearly all pre-1959, really steal the show in this book. The story follows a boy and his family driving into town for a birthday party in their blue car that they've kept running for decades. It's a really gorgeous depiction of Cuba, and one of the spreads is like practically a rainbow parade of cars going in and out of town. It's really cool. So now I'm going to hand you over to Diana, who's going to talk about some of the Newbery contenders.
Who will win the gold medal for the Newbery Award? The Newbery Award is given for writing. The Caldecott is for pictures, so the Newbery Award is for the writing in a children's book. And I've got two favorites that I will be cheering for. One of them is by Lauren Wolk. Lauren Wolk won the silver medal last year, so maybe she'll win the gold this year. The book is Beyond the Bright Sea. It takes place on a fictional small island off the coast of Cape Cod, and it takes place a while ago in the previous century. A little girl who's been named Crow by her adoptive father, Osh, actually ended up on the island as a baby. She arrived in a rowboat. She has some questions, obviously, now that she's 11 years old. Who put me in that rowboat? Where did I come from? And she suspects it might be a neighboring island, which has been used in the past as a leper colony. The people in town think that perhaps she's from the leper colony as well. They refuse to let her attend school there, and they usually keep a distance from her. So in this interesting story, Crow tries to find out what's happening on the other island. She sees a fire over there. Who could be having a bonfire on this island that is now empty of people? And she questions Osh, who is reluctant to tell her what he knows. So it's kind of a mystery, part family story, and very interesting. Really good writing. Another contender for the Newbery that is a favorite of mine is Hello Universe by Erin and Trotta Kelly. Miss Kelly has not won a Newbery gold or silver before, but she did win the Golden Kite Award, so she does have a kind of gold medal. The Golden Kite Award is given by other children's authors. In this story, you can tell a lot by just looking at the cover. There are several characters, all about the same age, and the little boy in the cover, you can see that he's down in a hole. It's actually an abandoned well. And he's down there because the bully in the story, Chet Bullens, great name, has tossed his backpack in there. And inside the backpack is his pet hamster, maybe guinea pig, pet guinea pig. And there are two girls in the story that decide to try to help him out. Do they become friends in the end? Does Chet Bullens learn a lesson? Or maybe it's Virgil Salinas, the little boy who is down in the well, who ends up learning a lesson. It's a good story about overcoming some prejudices about. Nick, tell us about some books for older students, young adult books.
So I'm going to be talking about some potential winners of the Prince Award, which is for young adult teen books. And Midnight at the Electric is the one that's probably closest to previous winners of the Prince Award. It takes place over 3 different time spans. In the future, with a girl about to go on a Mars colony because the world is doomed. She finds some letters in the house she's staying at before she leaves that talk about the family that used to be there in Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl. And those letters are actually also relating to the family before that, living in England in 1919, right after World War I, and detailing how they were struggling with dealing with the aftermath of that. And the Dust Bowl family is obviously struggling to deal with the Dust Bowl and Dust Lung, where the one daughter is sick. So it kind of relates all 3 stories back and forth. And the one constant character in all 3 of them is named Galapagos, and it's a tortoise. But that one's probably the closest to previous winners. The 2 that I think one of them should win are The Hate You Give and Long Way Down. Long Way Down is by Jason Reynolds. It is entirely in verse, and it takes place over the course of 67 seconds as the 15-year-old boy is riding down an elevator after stealing his brother's gun after his brother was just shot on the street. So it takes place as he rides down the elevator, and he's on the 7th floor, so every floor he stops at, a different person from his brother or family's past kind of talks to him about the history behind the gun violence in their community, in their neighborhood. And since it's written in verse, it moves really fast, and it's actually a very beautifully written book, and it's kind of very relevant to what's been going on in the news today. The third book, is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and it's a little more closer to what's been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. It follows a 16-year-old girl named Star who is living in a very poor neighborhood while also attending school in a suburban neighborhood where the school is a very private, wealthy private school. And she witnesses her childhood best friend being shot by a police officer while he was unarmed, and it ends up making national news, and she struggles throughout the book with dealing with the attention that that's getting both nationally and between her community, some not so savory people in the community, and then those who go to her school. So it's focusing on her struggle with trying to cope with those different types of communities grasping around that issue. But my favorite of the 3 is Long Way Down. But any one of them would be good.
We'll be looking forward eagerly to find out who wins the gold medal when the American Library Association announces the winners on Monday, February 18th, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. But since we don't live there, it will be around lunchtime. Thank you.